My video today is going to be about basically anti-LGBT laws in Georgia and North Carolina. There's, there are anti-gay laws elsewhere in the United States, and to varying effects and varying intensities. But I think the ones in Georgia and North Carolina have been getting news coverage in the last few days, maybe in the last week or so. Mainly because they're clearly discriminatory, and they clearly have made more of a splash on the news scene, and this is why I want to talk about them. I think one of the reasons that they're getting all this attention too is because we have these large corporate entities behind these protests that are really making a difference in terms of how these laws are being repealed or amended or changed or taken away completely. So it's an interesting phenomenon, I think, to see corporate America behind a social cause. I think on the first level it looks kind of simplistic and sort of they have money, they have not money, but they have interest when it comes to profiteering and money when it comes to market share and market segment. And they obviously wouldn't have been, protesting these bills or these laws, anti-LGBT laws, if they weren't seeing some sort of profit behind it. But I'd also like to say, let's not condemn them just yet, because they are being very effectual, they're causing politicians to listen and actually take action. So there's a lot to be said about social causes, but I find that these days, and I don't know if I'm the only one noticing this, the economy is starting to get really closely tied to social causes. It happens on both sides of the fence as well. I mean, there was this one article I read about Saudi Arabia and the way they're pumping up their economy for sustainable energy, and they're situated in a very good area to take into account sustainable energy as a burgeoning source of money and of energy. They're in the desert. They have sand, which is could be used for all sorts of raw material for all sorts of silicon based and I don't know too much about solar panels, but I mean, they are situated in a kind of a perfect spot in the world to start generating a lot of solar energy. So in that case, I mean, it's not that they're necessarily taking up a social cause. What's happening is the economic benefit of that social cause is proving itself to be, quite viable, and they're taking up that cause. So there's a marrying between the Saudi Arabia and that social cause of environmentalism, maybe not directly but indirectly, and it's causing some real progress to happen. If not just yet, at least it's in the works, and it's going to be something that actually does happen. I mean, China's already manufacturing solar cells at a phenomenal rate, faster than anybody else in the world and cheaper than anybody else in the world. So these economic factors that tie into environmentalism, I would say directly, not so much indirectly, are causing a real sort of step forward in terms of economy and social progress. Whether you could debate whether the environment is a social cause. I mean, it seems almost what we should be doing to save our asses. It might even be a biological cause or biological imperative. So that's on that side that's happening in terms of a marriage between the economy and a social cause, and then like as I mentioned before, sort of the gay thing and corporations such as Apple and Disney and Starbucks, all kind of raising these flags when it comes to social causes. Now Starbucks, while I'm sure they're LGBT friendly, they seem I'm almost sure I've seen. Anyway, in all likelihood they are, and they're definitely anti-Trump, or he's anti-Starbucks. I don't know, but they've all made it very clear that. And Tim Cook is the head of Apple, and he's a gay man, so I mean, automatically that just seems right. Microsoft, these large major corporations are taking a stand against anti-LGBT law and laws. So they're, it's definitely yet another marriage again between, large corporations that stand to gain a lot of market share and profit from really having their finger on the pulse of society and pushing that cause forward. I'd say too that nowadays LGBT people are definitely a major force, and they have their alliances and their friends and their neighbors, and they have more out networks that hold a lot of buying power, and they themselves have a lot of buying power. So I mean, there is a mutual benefit there, but it's just interesting to see how economics and social causes are getting tied together. There's also a new form of government or a new form of corporation that's. I know that the last time I read about it as being tested in England and in Australia. I know that Mars in Toronto is playing with the idea. I'm not sure how far they've gotten because I've read about this maybe a year ago, so I should probably look into it. But social impact investing or social impact businesses, they definitely are a marriage between investing and philanthropy. And looking at the business model of any emerging business or social cause as sort of directly related to the profitability, but drawn out over time. It's an interesting concept, I have to say, because it actually ties a social cause right into the framework or the knitting of the small business. Or whatever entity it is. It doesn't have to be a small business, but some sort of supplier of a social need to people that need it. And the measurement of their success is based on the measurement of success with their what would be the new client, people needing social services. So I am seeing these things happening. I'm sure I'm not the only one noticing them, but they're very interesting. They're very interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how business functions in 10 years from now. Obviously, I'll be around. I'll just have to hopefully be a part of the wave. Until then, that's my video for today, and we'll talk later. Bye.